Welcome to Washington, D.C., where everyone represents somebody and rarely it's you. Have you ever wondered why Congress seems to pass bills that make corporations richer, but you still can't afford your prescriptions or your insurance? Why you can so easily access a gun? Or why it seems like Congress has the interest of other countries before yours? Well, it's not an accident, and today we're going to talk about why America is pay to win. Through legal bribery like super PACs, campaign financing, and lobbying, this is why America isn't broken, it's bought. First thing you must understand is that there are multiple different ways that legal corruption happens in our government. We were all taught when we were kids that in America, everyone's vote counted, everyone's donation counted, you counted. But more and more, it seems like corporations and foreign interests have overtaken our ability to make democracy function as intended. As a wise man once said, there's levels to the and the first level that we're going to explore is lobbying. Lobbying is basically when someone or some group pays to persuade a government official to vote a certain way on a bill, or to not vote on a bill, or just to persuade their actions in Congress, period. A corporation, or in some cases, a foreign nation, pays someone an annual salary to breathe down the necks of our congressmen. The lobbyists head to DC and invite our congressmen to dinners, events, all pitching their tiny little request that just happens to benefit their industry. They don't hand over a briefcase of cash though, because that would be bribery. Instead, they hand over information, connections, and sometimes campaign financing. Lobbyists write reports, offer research that they themselves conducted, and oftentimes literally draft sections of the bill that end up becoming law. So the next time you see a 1,000-page bill up for vote in the Senate, don't assume that our senators actually wrote it. Oftentimes it came from corporate boardrooms and trade unions. In Washington, D.C., there are about 13,000 registered lobbyists and only 535 congressmen. That is roughly 25 lobbyists for every congressman. Let me say that again. 25 lobbyists per one congressman. And sometimes former congressmen who have retired end up coming back and getting hired as lobbyists. Who better to infiltrate the Senate than a former senator himself? Here's $200,000 a year, former congressman. Go back to all your old coworkers that you already have access to and tell them about how great our company is. And usually, the mission is a lot grander than that. Lobbyists meet with congressmen outside the chambers, so all these conversations are off the books. Lobbyists have to file a report about meeting with the congressman, but they don't have to file a report about what was said. Maybe they told the congressman over dinner to vote no on an upcoming bill that would regulate their industry, or told them to vote yes on a bill that would deregulate their industry. Every year, $3 to $4 billion is funneled through lobbying into Washington, D.C. That's billion with a B. Now, believe it or not, lobbying has been around since the beginning of the Republic, but it was officially institutionalized in the 1990s. Lobbying is kept in check by a few laws, but mostly they're tell us what you're doing laws, not don't do it laws. Those being the Lobbying Disclosure Act of 1995, which said lobbyists must register and report their activities. Then in 2007 came the Honest Leadership and Open Government Act, which added some transparency. It banned gifts, required more reports, and said ex-staffers had to wait before lobbying their old bosses. Sounds nice, right? Except these laws don't actually limit lobbying. They just force you to file paperwork about it. It's kind of like making bank robbers fill out a bank robbery disclosure form every time they pull off a heist. Lobbyists can still draft legislation, they can still directly collaborate with lawmakers, and they can still take congressmen to an event that somehow their family comes to for 3 days in Mexico. So, with all this being said, let's talk about the real MVPs of lobbying. Number one, the pharmaceutical and health companies. The drug and healthcare industries spend more than anyone else. We're talking $700 million a year from corporations like United Healthcare, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all massive donors. Ever wonder why drug prices never seem to go down? Why insulin only costs $6 to manufacture, but they charge $300 for you to buy it? That's one reason why. Ever wonder why you don't see the cost of a doctor's visit until after they've treated you? That's a reason why. A bunch of guys in suits influencing our lawmakers just to make sure that their company gets the final say. Number two, the insurance industry. These guys spent over $300 million lobbying just around Medicare Advantage policies alone. Health insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, they all have lobbyists whose mission is to block consumer protections, protect profits, and ensure you stay confused forever. Your insurance policy is confusing on purpose. If you understood it, you would realize how screwed you are. Ever wonder why health insurance costs are so high? Why some people will avoid going to the doctor and just get sick and die? There you go. Number three, the gun lobby, or as I like to call them, the thoughts and prayers guys. The NRA spends millions lobbying and even more on campaign ads and scorecards that rate politicians. These scorecards directly affect voter turnout for that candidate. Ever wonder why it's so easy to access a firearm? It ain't the Second Amendment, I can tell you that. Ever wonder why Republicans' response to a school shooting is just to arm teachers? The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, they say. It's because gun lobbying pockets run deep. Gun deaths rise, mass shootings become normal, 90% of Americans want universal background checks. Congress? Sorry. NRA said no, their check cleared first. Number 4, the oil and gas company lobbies. The oil and gas industry is one of the top spending lobbying forces in the entire United States. Every election cycle, they pour hundreds of millions of dollars into lobbying. Campaign donations, super PACs, research groups, and policy think tanks whose entire job is to make sure climate policy becomes weaker and weaker. Their goal is to protect drilling leases, add subsidies for fossil fuels, loosen methane regulations, and delay clean energy standards, all drafted by the industry that profits from these exact loopholes. A great source for tracking where the gas industry is actually putting lobbying dollars is Track Oil Pack. I highly recommend you go check them out. The biggest receiver of oil money last year was the Don himself at $2.6 million. And in Congress, Ted Cruz of Texas has accepted $5.6 million from the gas industry. That would be over his career though. And number 5, my homie, your favorite, AIPAC, or the pro-Israel lobby. Small staff, big money. They spend a few million on direct lobbying, but channel tens of millions of more through PACs and donor networks. If you ever wonder why U.S. policy towards Israel rarely changes, you're looking at one reason. Have you ever realized that every time Congress gets a chance to stop sending money and weapons to Israel, they don't? Here's why. AIPAC directly spends money on campaigns to help senators and representatives get re-elected, as long as they remain pro-Israel. Democrats and Republicans are both guilty of receiving money from them, and the newly popular Track AIPAC account on Twitter posts who has received money from them and exactly how much. Right now, you're seeing the amounts each congressman has accepted. The people that you voted for, the people who are supposed to represent you, have somebody else's interests, another country's interests, prioritized over you. Now here's why I find AIPAC especially interesting. If you're a lobbying group that wants to push policy on behalf of a foreign nation, you must register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, otherwise known as FARA, which makes it clear that your lobbying group has no ties to the US and makes you be very transparent about your actions. AIPAC though? Hell nah. AIPAC doesn't have to register under FARA because it legally identifies itself as a domestic American advocacy organization, not as an agent of the Israeli government. Unlike foreign-funded groups that take money or direction from another nation, AIPAC argues that its funding, leadership, and activities are US-based, which exempts it from having to register with FARA. But yet, AIPAC does nothing but advocate for policy that will benefit Israel, which so clearly creates a loophole that allows AIPAC to advocate for another country while other lobbying groups that are trying to do the same do have to register and do have to be transparent. And AIPAC is the only lobbying group for a foreign nation that doesn't have to register and gets this exemption. But since the politicians that they fund keep getting elected, well, it's easy for them to turn a blind eye and not make them register. Whether you love them or you hate them, it's a loophole that only they get to exploit. Try to explain that without being called anti-Semitic. AIPAC spent over $40 million in the Democratic primaries alone last cycle, primarily to defeat candidates who disagreed with their foreign policy positions. Since 2020, AIPAC has invested over $230 million into making sure that Trump got re-elected. And since his election, the Trump administration has sent over $14 billion in aid to Israel. Politics is not left or right anymore. It's about who funds your campaign. And those are just a few names. There are lobbyists for banks, tech, defense and military contractors, Wall Street, beer, candy, even fucking duck farmers have their own lobby. Don't support these lobbies? Want to be a legit congressman and not accept money from any of them? Well, all of a sudden you have a well-funded opponent in the next election and you're shit out of luck. If you want to find out what congressmen are accepting money from lobbyists and you want to find out where it's coming from, don't take my word for it. The best places to view this info are opensecrets.org, trackaipac.com, fec.gov, which has raw campaign finance filings, but bring coffee because it's boring as hell, or maplight.org or PacTrack US. Now, it's time to talk about the second way our government is filthied with cash. If you've ever wondered why your $25 campaign donation doesn't do much to impact the election, it's because corporations are out here throwing money at elections like money don't exist. It's super PACs And it's our little angel, 2010 Citizens United Supreme Court decision, which in my eyes is the worst mistake the Supreme Court has ever made. The case started when a conservative nonprofit group, Citizens United, wanted to air and promote an ad criticizing Hillary Clinton during the 2008 Democratic primaries. Federal election law at the time said corporations and unions couldn't spend money on electioneering communications, basically ads, close to an election. Only candidates were allowed to fund and air political ads. Sounds legit. So they came to the Supreme Court and said, hey, this violates my First Amendment rights. The government said, no, this stops money from overwhelming elections. So as a result, they brought it to the Supreme Court, and in 2010, they ruled that corporations and unions have First Amendment rights to spend unlimited money on political messaging. Not donations to campaigns, but independent expenditures, meaning ads that they create and fund on their own. Essentially making elections one rich guy versus another rich guy. So really, these days, it doesn't matter how much money you spend, it doesn't matter how many individual citizens send money to your campaign, if you please the billionaire, you're likely to win. And number two, the government cannot limit this spending, which essentially means you can throw as much money as you want as possible, and if the government were to limit that, that'd be a violation of the First Amendment. And that created the birth of superPACs. And now that corporations can funnel as much money as they want to into elections, they had to create a new legal vessel to handle all that dough. That is a superPAC. A superPAC, or independent expenditure-only committees, are political groups that can raise and spend unlimited amounts of money to influence elections as long as they don't coordinate directly with a candidate's campaign. They're allowed to take funds from corporations, unions, nonprofits, and wealthy individuals, which lets huge sums of money flow into political advertising. In practice, they've become one of the most powerful tools for outside groups to shape elections. OpenSecrets.org has information on the biggest PACs like Blue Cross Blue Shield, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and so many more. In 2024's presidential election, there were more than over $1 billion donated from superPACs to both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Before the 2010 Citizens United ruling, corporations could only spend mere millions of dollars on campaigns. But after the ruling, a tiny number of ultra-wealthy donors began influencing our elections. And corporations and special interests gained another tool in the toolbox to help get what they want. Do you realize how bad this is? I mean, I kind of understand it, right? Limiting how much money that I spend would be a violation of the First Amendment, right? It's my money, I should be able to spend it how I like. But in elections, this is supposedly a democracy where everyone's vote counts and everyone's dollar should count. And right now, their dollar means way more than yours does. If I ran a campaign on taxing the billionaires and I got all the individual citizens to send me $20, that still wouldn't compare to the other guy who's running against me saying that he's gonna cut taxes for the billionaires and all of them just send money his way. So now, instead of bribing a politician directly, you can just spend millions of dollars on advertisements for them while technically not directly collaborating with them. Totally different, right? You smell that? You smell that? Smells like bullshit. And there have been plenty of people who have spoken out against the Citizens United decision, notably Bernie Sanders.
So while ordinary Americans get the right to vote, they have one vote, the billionaire class, as a result of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, they have the right not just to cast one vote as a citizen, but to contribute hundreds of millions of dollars into super PACs who will elect their friends and defeat their political opponents. Now, if anyone in America thinks that is what American democracy is supposed to be about, well, I have a strong disagreement with you. Democracy is one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections through their super PACs. And I would hope that here in Congress, that on the campaign trail, leaders of this country make it clear that we have got to overturn this disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United, which allows billionaires to buy elections, and move to public funding of elections. And that is where we should be going if we believe in democracy.
If you ever want to find out why America is fucked up, all roads will lead back to either the Supreme Court or Ronald Reagan. The floodgates weren't just opened, they were vaporized. So even though we have limits on paper for how much money you can spend towards a campaign, it seems like money still flows in pipelines big enough for you to swim in. Are you still with me? Do you have any hope left? Do you even have 1 ounce of hope left? Is the American government corrupt? Well, technically no, because everything they do is legal. And that's the real problem. This isn't Tony Soprano waste management level corruption. This is polished, suits, wine and dine level corruption. The kind of corruption that they don't even have to hide because they wrote the laws that make it legal. Here's the truth. Lobbyists aren't breaking the system. Lobbyists are the system. Your vote matters, but their money matters more. I look back upon my Why Vote video, which I filmed right over there with a different lens now. I decided to come back to the same spot I made the Why Vote video to kind of have a full circle moment. It's hard to watch that video knowing everything I know now. As much as I want to keep hope and tell you that your voice matters, most of our politicians are quite literally for sale, and your donations mean diddly squat. Until we can reform campaign finance laws, it seems like the pay-to-win system that America's built on is here to stay, where the players with the biggest wallets get the biggest rewards. To the Supreme Court, what is the point in claiming that limiting money violates the First Amendment when the result after is that democracy literally doesn't even work? We're so worried about our Constitution when that is literally holding back our democracy from functioning as intended. We need better regulations, and we need it now. I mean, since we don't elect Supreme Court justices, there's probably no way we're gonna end up repealing Citizens United, but our only hope is giving support to congressmen and senators who don't accept corporate PAC money and are willing to change legislation and create a system where that's not accepted. People like Republican Congressman Thomas Massie or Democrat Alexandria Cortez are 2 examples. Two examples. At the end of the day, this isn't just a story about corruption. It's a story about power. And the billionaires want you to think that you have none left. Billionaires, the corporations, the lobbyists, they only win when regular people stop paying attention. And you're paying attention right now.
So here's the challenge. Support candidates who refuse corporate PAC money. Reward the ones who run people-powered campaigns, who don't sell out the minute a lobbyist waves a checkbook in their face. These candidates exist, but they only survive if we back them the same way big money backs their opponents. Vote for them. Volunteer and knock on doors for them. Share their names. Make no corporate PAC money a bare minimum requirement, not a bonus. Because democracy isn't supposed to be something we watch. It's something we build. And if enough of us demand a government that answers to the people instead of profit, we can still get one. Change is not going to start in Washington. It has to start with us.